welcome back to Duran ASEAN. You're with Gowri, Arlene, and Grace.
Hello, good morning. This is Grace.
And today we have a very special guest in the studio, and I think he needs no introduction. It's Reza Salleh, who is a pretty accomplished singer-songwriter. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, very good. So welcome to Duran ASEAN. Thanks for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having me.
We are pretty excited to have him today in the house.
Yeah, especially in conjunction with Merdeka Day
Yeah,
and
totally.
Malaysia Day.
For sure, definitely. I'm very excited too this month. A lot of things happening.
So Reza, but why don't you tell us, give us a little background to yourself, maybe how you got started in music.
Oh, wow. Well, I've been, I guess, singing in the scene since 2000. So that's 14 years. And, but I started singing, I think maybe in 96.
96.
Oh, that is
How old
long
were you?
time ago.
I'm a fair bit older, I guess, than I look.
No, we're not going to judge you, don't worry.
We still see you like as a university college guy.
Yeah, most people do, actually.
Well, I know I was 6 years old in 1996.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it was for a school event, so
Okay.
it was like four guys with four guitars playing exactly the same thing. That was my first time like performing on stage, and then I just kept on. I was very lucky. My school had like a music society that you could audition for, and like we had like a jamming room. So, but only in 2000 I joined an open mic, which is
Okay.
something that it's open to anyone. And
What was the scene back then?
back then in
It was more alternative geared. as in,
yeah.
like, the best was Butterfinger. And
Yeah,
Gowri
actually,
and all that.
during that time, 2000, it was very dead. There was only one gig going on, which was this acoustic open mic. Even a lot of the bands from that era, the alternative era, played at this acoustic show. So it was the only show happening. I think I was kind of in and out of Melbourne. I was studying there at the time. So I would just play at this open mic and write a song every month and just keep that up. And until now, I guess. Yeah. So I've been playing ever since then. And I started organizing shows in 2005. So that was like another thing.
So since 2005, you have been doing this full time.
Actually, full time since 2008. 2008, I had like a full-time job. I was organizing 5 shows a month. I was playing 3 shows a month, and my job was like 10 to 7, so it got a bit crazy. Everything was suffering equal amounts, so I decided to just, if I wanted to do music, I need to do it now. If I want to work a boring job, I can do it when I'm older. So
What's the boring job, may I ask?
boring job. Well, actually, my job back then wasn't that boring. I shouldn't complain. I worked for a music magazine. It's not around anymore. There used to be this magazine called Clue.
Oh, yeah, my favorite magazine.
Right. So the publishers had another magazine called Junk, which focused on regional music, and they hired me to. I guess I did marketing and I did events. Did a lot of stuff for Junk back in the day. So it was fun. It was an excuse to meet more bands and more acts, and I was also organizing stuff. So yeah. A lot of fun. A fun day job, actually. Not quite the tie and desk and that
So
you might expect.
your main purpose of organizing gigs was to open more platforms for the bands, because you mentioned that back then the music scene was pretty dead, was it?
Well, it wasn't so much dead. It was just the scene goes through ups and downs. And when I started playing, it was on a major down. So why I started organizing shows, when I first started out, I didn't organize an open mic. I just organized like a showcase. It was really because there was no other shows and I really wanted to play it. My friends were like, you organize one lah? Like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, so I can play myself, But I started, like, I just never stopped. We've been doing a show every month since 2005 until now. But later on, I decided to do an open mic because I saw firsthand the power of an open mic. Like, there were people who open mic with me back in the day who are really big musicians right now, and that's all it takes. Like, just
That's true.
one opportunity, like one show or a few rather, for them to actually get somewhere. So if I can be part of that process, if I can organize a show that some kid might come and play and later become famous, then why not? It's not that hard to organize a show actually.
It seems like there's these two separate scene. from a layman's perspective.
Okay.
One is the mainstream music industry.
Yep.
Another one is the alternative, or the ones that are not being highlighted usually.
You mean independent band?
Independent
Right.
bands. Why is that so? Why is that a huge disparity?
It's interesting you bring that up. I think maybe 10 years ago that disparity was very, very a lot more I guess obvious and blatant. Generally Malaysians just knew kind of Siti Nurhaliza and M. Nasir, these kind of big names. But what happened in the past 10 years? A few key independent acts crossed over. They didn't really cross over to the mainstream. They entered some of these mainstream competitions, like the Juara Lagu and AIM, and acts like Hujan and Yuna, who are actually independent in origin, that opened the whole thing up to other people. And like the layman Malaysian was kind of like, who are all these other people, And it just blew the whole thing open. Suddenly all these institutions of music, Juara Lagu, AM, were being kind of, 50% or 60% of the finalists were from the independent scene. So actually the gap is smaller compared to last time, more so than ever before. And I think it's just continuously going in that direction.
What's the difference in terms of the independent scene and the mainstream scene? What are the challenges that the independent scene are facing right now that the mainstream are not?
I think actually, in terms of amount of challenges that both sides face, is kind of the same. It might be slightly different, but it's kind of the same. I think because we're actually lucky enough that Malaysia is such a small market, you don't actually have to be signed to a big label to have an impact. You don't have to. You don't have to be some big star. Like acts like Yuna and Hujan, who are not signed to anyone and have never been. Well, Yuna's now signed to a big US label, but coming up, they just did everything themselves. And that's the beauty of Malaysia. You can do it yourself. You just need, a lot of business sense and a lot of perseverance.
So every musician in Malaysia have to be an entrepreneur at one point.
Totally. And I imagine that the acts from the mainstream are also facing kind of like, who are all these other acts that kind of have come in and not say hijacked, but kind of taken up the market share, So they also have to kind of struggle to be relevant, or their the segment of the population who normally listen to them is diminishing because people's ears are being opened up to other things.
So you have been singing for 14 years, you said.
I have.
So
yes.
I'm curious to know how has things changed from when you first started singing to now? Like, has it become easier? Has it become more difficult?
I think it has become easier for bands, but I don't think the bands that experience this easiness kind of are aware how easy it is. I think maybe to them it might feel the same. They might feel the same kind of struggle, but for me, it is a lot. I simply see a lot more young bands, girls and guys, because back in the day it's mostly like male dominated, but now because I organize an open mic every month, we see more girls and guys actually most of the time. And I think that's purely because we have real life examples of music success are women. Yuna, Ziavi, we have this has really created this big impact, and I see it every month. Girls come, they're not afraid. People are they're not afraid. They have expensive guitars. These are the differences now. Back in the day, my guitar have to like put a mic and everything. Now everybody got plug-in guitar, nice Taylor guitar, all expensive. Wow, okay. And they're like, I do this all the time on my YouTube channel. It's fine.
And nowadays, so many YouTube stars.
Yes. I don't know about the stars part, but a lot of YouTube singers definitely.
Yeah, they get help from all the social channels and then to expose themselves.
It's another market altogether.
True.
Like I think there was a show in the Bentley Auditorium or something. And it was just the theme was YouTube singers, and it was a different kind of crowd, a crowd that doesn't normally attend like the regular gigs that happen in town. So it's interesting.
So we actually have some questions from our Facebook. From our fans on Facebook.
Okay.
So one of the questions is from Yasmin Rashid, who is the founder and president of Eco Nights. It's an environmental organization.
Yes, they do the Echo Film
Echo
Fest.
Film Fest,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
played for
right.
it once a
Oh.
few years ago, I think.
So she wants to know, do you like reading? And if you do, what are you reading right now?
Oh wow, you know what? It's such a tragedy because I used to, like, if before I sleep, I will read something. I have to read.
Okay.
Like but I haven't in a while. I've got like a pile of unread pile that I haven't touched. I think ever since I got an iPad. I think that's
Oh.
the thing. Yeah, but no, but all
I-
constantly on the net and surfing and going through. I have this app called Flipboard, which I love, so I get to just collate all the stuff that I follow. But yeah, I used to be like serial, like I have to read.
Do you
and
have
I
a favorite author?
Do I have a favorite author? I'm so boring and geeky. I'm a big fantasy fan.
Okay.
So, the typical Tolkien's and Harry Potter's and all this kind of stuff I read. I do like this author called Orson Scott Card.
Oh.
Apparently he's not a nice person in real life, but that doesn't matter. But he has he wrote this book called Ender's Game, which is a popular book in the States. I think there's a whole series, and I really like his stuff. And what's the last book I read? I cannot remember. I'm kind of I like sci-fi, I like fantasy, but I'm open, like, to anything. I'm open to a good read. I love comics. I love graphic novels. I love
Yeah, they love everything.
So
Everything.
I have
Kind of,
one
yeah.
more question
Okay.
from Kevin Wong, who is from a local band as well. He's up and coming. I think he's a friend of Grace as well.
Okay.
He wants to know, how do you scout for talents? I think it goes back to your show, maybe your monthly
Organizing
open mic.
shows.
Yes.
Right. How do I scout for talents? Well, there is a kind of like an internal QC mechanism that has been developed over the years. Moonshine, which is the show that I do, by the way.
It's not the
is-
song team
No,
of Bruno
no.
Mars.
No,
And it's
right.
not any drugs.
No, it's not. Actually, moonshine is an alcohol.
Production.
Actually,
Yeah.
Oh, alcohol.
yeah, it's a moonshine is a term for making. It's illegally made alcohol, like back in the day. But we have nothing to do with that. It's
Yeah, of
just
course. Yeah.
Just,
moon.
just to clear that.
Yeah, just to clear that up. Yeah. So the whole show kind of focuses on the average Malaysian. That's the kind of audience we want to reach out to. The kind of people, because we believe that Malaysians are actually very supportive. They just don't know any better sometimes. So
They need some direction.
or just some exposure. So we aim to access that part of Malaysian audiences. So this means a certain level of quality, a certain level of accessibility. Not to say I won't book an accessible band. When I say accessible, just the likelihood of people, not regular non-music fans liking them is high. I might book a band that's not accessible, but it's all about like the programming of the show and how often I do it. But yes, there is a minimum kind of, I won't book a band that's obviously just out of the studio. They still need more practice or something. There has to be a minimum kind of quality.
Of course.
Yeah, so I actually get a lot of requests. We get a lot of requests for people to play at the show, but we're kind of we tend to do an invitation only kind of policy.
Okay.
That's why we do our open mics, which is called Feedback, which is open to anyone. I couldn't stop anyone from participating in that if I wanted to. So we have feedback so acts can come and get better, because that's the only way you get better from playing.
Where is this held?
Well, Moonshine happens every first Thursday at Laundry Bar in the Curve.
Okay.
Feedback happens every second Tuesday at the B in Jaya 1, that's a cafe, and every fourth Tuesday at the B in Publica. So the B and Laundry essentially.
And these two events have been gaining a lot of fame among musicians. Also because of the exposure, and then they get to chance to play on the stage. You see, all those youngsters who really wants to just express themselves via music, they can just go there and then sign, and they can play the music they want to. So it's in a way the really good platform for all those young musicians who wants to expose themselves.
Yeah. Also, sadly, because there's not a lot of gigs that happen around town, so we find a lot of people who just kind of come, and
Yeah.
like there's just so many people who just want to sing, and just we get a lot of first timers almost every time.
Yeah.
We get fresh faces, and we have it twice a month. Yeah, we have fresh faces almost every time.
It's amazing.
It's not like our parents' time where every time there's a wedding, there will be a gig.
I think we still have that sometimes. We still have that.
Do you think that the Malaysian crowd is biased towards certain kind of music, as in they only want to listen to
The
this
genre,
Yeah,
is it?
like
Well, I think it depends on what kind of crowd is in the audience, and I think it's always reflective of what kind of music is popular right now. Like amongst the younger generation right now, and anything kind of acoustic oriented seems to be quite popular, and I think this is part of the impact of YouTube as well, because we tend to see a lot more like
Right.
solo duos, so there's a big appreciation for these kind of acts, and a lot more young kids coming up and doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, you won't find like a blues rock band, like very rarely sometimes, so it depends on what people are listening to at the time. Yeah.
Do you also do songwriting?
Yes, I write my own songs.
So how do you get your inspiration? Like what kind of song? Because I remember listening your song called For Her
Okay.
a few years back. I thought it was
Okay.
really
I remember
good.
that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, most of it has to do with heartbreak. Yeah, that's always good.
Ding, ding, ding,
That
ding.
always helps. Yeah, nothing like good heartbreak for a good song. For Her was actually the first song I ever wrote. For my high school sweetheart at the time. Yeah, so she's married now to someone else, and that's fine. I'm kidding. We're friends. It's cool. Yeah. So the inspiration question, it really depends. Yeah, heartbreak is easy because when you're sad or when you're emotional, this kind of helps things flow better in terms of what do I sing about, But I've written a song about diabetes as well. That doesn't really, I don't have diabetes, but it's just a fun thing to write about. It was kind of a comedic kind of songwriting. So yeah, differs.
Are you working on any projects right now? I know you have a gig tomorrow.
Yes.
Apart
Yes, we
from that,
do.
yeah. Anything else that
Well, yeah, there's a gig tomorrow, which is the Merdeka gig, which is something Merdeka is doing. It's actually a fundraiser for Bersih,
Bersih.
NGO. Yeah, so they're doing like a voter education drive. So they're channeling funds towards that. It's like 7 p.m., 10 ringgit, 13 acts. Make sure you come.
10 ringgit only.
Yeah, more minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah,
of
but so of course if you want to donate more, it's fine. Also, Moonshine happens every month, so I think we have one coming up. I think on the 4th of September. What's the first Thursday of this month?
4th.
Is the 4th. Okay, we have one Moonshine then. Then we have another Moonshine on the 16th of September, which is a bit special because 16th September is Malaysia Day. And so we decided to do our anniversary this year on Malaysia Day. So it's our 9th anniversary.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Thank you. So that's 11 acts. And the special thing about this gig is we're getting all these really good acts to come in, and they all usually write their own stuff and sing their own stuff, but we're getting them to do covers of their favorite Malaysian songs, like past and present. So we'll get like Najwa singing like something from the
Tanggal
past.
31.
Yeah, well, doesn't necessarily need to be patriotic, but just Malaysian, I think one of the bands is covering Yuna, and another one covering Disagree, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, Disagree.
Yeah.
That was in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So September 16th, that's at Laundry Bar as well. So yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, and I'm also going to Japan in next month.
But you recently went to Japan
I
like
did.
a few months ago.
I went to Japan and Korea, and then I
Like,
got.
yeah, big Japanese are a big fan of you.
I'm a big fan of Japan as well. So I got an invitation to play in Japan in September, 2 days before my anniversary, which is
That's wonderful.
yeah. So September 12th I go to Japan, 13th I play, 14th I play, 15th I come back, 16th is the Moonshine anniversary.
Well, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Compared to Malaysian scenes, right?
Yep.
How are the scenes like in Korea or Japan there?
How hard?
How is it like?
Oh, how is it like?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a really big scene. In Japan, I mostly play in the southern part of Japan, which is like the Hawaii of Japan. Well, there's definitely a really high level of appreciation for anything to do with the arts in Japan. And that's very
that's
nice.
wonderful.
Yeah, and they express when they're happy with your stuff, despite the fact that most people don't speak English there. And
But they can connect to.
yeah, they do, and they're not shy. I think Malaysians are. That's the one thing we're very shy about. We're clapping
Expressing.
inside.
Very polite.
Yes,
Very
yes.
polite.
Yeah. Japanese, they're extremely polite, but just expressive. Koreans are the best, actually. Koreans, I think.
Yay.
Koreans in the house. Yeah, I think I was surprised. I didn't expect that. I've played a few shows in Korea, more in Japan than in Korea, but I've had some of my best. I think maybe I was a bit lucky with the kind of shows I was playing, but I had some of the best crowds in Korea. They're super responsive, and the last time I played there, which was like in July, I played to like maybe 200 plus people in an auditorium,
wow.
and they were like towards the end they were all up and dancing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's not easy to get Malaysian crowd to do that.
Yes, it's
And 200.
yeah, they were all, well, I got them to stand up and they danced for like full 3 songs, so that was
wow.
but I think there was some alcohol involved, part of the audience, so
And Koreans like to drink.
yeah, they do
Yeah.
so much.
Well, that's wonderful.
Any other countries that you performed in besides Korea and Japan?
Okay, well, I mean,
Too
the
many.
usual: Singapore, Thailand.
Oh, the Southeast Asian country.
Yes, Indonesia. I haven't been to Philippines. I'd love to. Australia. Yeah, that's about it.
What about the Southeast Asian scene?
Well, there was a big push towards the regional scene a few years ago, like trying to connect the dots between all the different scenes, because there's a huge amount of bands actually and huge amount of talent. But not quite there yet, in terms of making that network happen, unfortunately.
I see.
But yeah, a lot of great bands around the region actually.
So since it's Merdeka Day and Malaysia Day and all, we wanna ask you, maybe Arlene,
Yeah,
can
we would
ask
like,
you this.
in conjunction with Merdeka Day and Malaysia Day, Duran ASEAN is starting our own Merdeka Day and Malaysia Day campaign, where we just gauge with our speakers on their opinions about Malaysia Day and Merdeka Day.
Okay.
So my question to you, what is your ideal Malaysia? I know it's a bit cheesy. What do you aspire for this country?
It's such a big question. What is my ideal Malaysia?
It is a big question, but it could be also personal.
There's so many things I would like that I would like to be ideal in Malaysia. I think a Malaysia that kind of doesn't see color and class and language, but at the same time celebrates it. Like I hear a lot of, I might joke sometimes about being lazy because I'm Malay, and then
Oh, yes.
and then I remember one time a friend was like, "Hey, you're Malaysian, okay, not Malay," which is, okay, fine, that's cool.
You have a good friend.
No, I totally feel that. I feel that whole thing. We're all Malaysian. At the
Of
same
course.
time, I like to celebrate our differences. I like to celebrate the stereotypes sometimes. I'd like to be able to accept them and be able to talk about them.
That's also beauty of, being Malaysians, having different cultures.
Yeah, so I don't want to. I'm Malaysian and I'm also Malay. Like someone could be Chinese and we're Malaysian as well, and we have so many different kind of nuances on how we grow up, how we every day-to-day lives, and there's not enough crossover of this. Today there might have been more back in the day, back in our parents' days, but I'd like that a bit more. I think this cross-cultural kind of communication. Celebrating our unity, as cheesy as that sounds, as well as our differences.
Yes.
I think that's my ideal Malaysia.
Is that okay, Arlene?
That's beautiful.
Right,
Cool.
so unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for this morning.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Reza, for coming in today.
Oh, thanks for
We had a
having
Oh,
me.
very
by the
good
way, just
interview.
to give a hint that you'll be serenading us with
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a bit later.
Luckily, I accidentally brought my guitar. I've never been interviewed by 3 people at the same time before, but have
Okay.
I? Okay, first time. But
I
yeah,
hope
thanks.
you have fun.
Yeah, I did. Thanks for having
Don't
me.
feel intimidated
No,
by
no,
us.
I'm fine.
Thank you.